It's been almost 20 years, but when Pirates of the Caribbean was first announced, it was derided as a money grab. How could you adapt a theme park ride? There's no story, so it's just branding for the sake of branding. And yet Gore Verbinski's 2003 movie was a smash hit and a total delight thanks to its weird energy mixed with breezy adventure. Since then, various theme park ride adaptations have hit various levels of success, and Jungle Cruise is the latest to arrive from the Magic Kingdom. For those that have never been on the attraction, it's basically a little boat cruise that gets its spark from the guy doling out jokes that are total groaners yet totally charming in the way dad jokes are charming. Director John Colicera's adaptation understands taking this light touch to the whole feature, and it makes for a charming ride that may not reach the dizzying highs of the first Pirates movie but still channels its strong mixture of humor, romance, and action. Jungle Cruise is like Diet Pirates of the Caribbean, but it still hits the spot. Jungle Cruise is incredibly cute. Johnson and Blunt have terrific chemistry and bounce off each other wonderfully. They both see themselves as the true captain of this journey, so they're constantly trying to one-up the other, which leads to a lot of fun conflict while still retaining the light sense of humor you get from the original ride. Whitehall then provides a nice counterbalance as well as an audience surrogate for those that would much rather avoid the jungle altogether and chill in a hotel room. Then you've got Plemons once again showing why he's among the best actors around right now, as he brings a cheerful, goofy energy to the villain that may not make Prince Joachim an iconic baddie, but he fits in nicely with the tone Colicera is going for. If I have one major qualm with Jungle Cruise, it's that I wish it were crazier. It's weird that the film even bothers to be PG-13 when it has the light approach of a PG movie. The only thing that's really scary are the cursed conquistadors inhabiting the jungle, who are made of various elements like snakes or bees. It makes for a fun visual effect, and I like that they're a conquistador who's just comprised of bees. But that madcap energy doesn't really carry over to the rest of the film, which is really more on the level of something like The African Queen, where you take two charismatic leads, play them off each other, and put them in adventurous situations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but if you're also going to be playing with Disney money and a VFX budget, you may as well go the Gore Verbinski route and take advantage of the fact that you're basically writing the source material here rather than having to worry about any fidelity beyond there must be a cruise in the jungle. By playing the adventure largely straight and with a light touch, there are times when Jungle Cruise starts to drag because it's not doing anything particularly outlandish. For example, it takes a sizable chunk of the movie for the group simply to leave the harbor. It makes it feel like Jungle Cruise is stretching out a paper-thin story because all that's really happening is that they need to leave to get on the river, but instead we have to go through not only setting up Frank and his conflict with a local rival, Paul Giamatti doing his best Watto impression, which is fine, but then it becomes the scene for a whole dang set piece of our heroes fighting off people, trying to stop them, and rather than starting the journey with a bang, it feels like the journey gets delayed before it even starts. Jungle Cruise is bright, colorful, and funny, and while it may not rival Pirates of the Caribbean, it has at least borrowed from that film's DNA with its quest for a sacred object in a race against those, in this case, the conquistadors, who have been cursed in their quest for that object. Despite Jungle Cruise's impersonal quality, the nagging sense that a giant corporation has carefully manufactured this tentpole to achieve its financial objectives, the script does unveil a few nice surprises along the way, and Colicera isn't afraid to let a few of the action sequences get appreciably dark. While Jungle Cruise overdoes the gaudy special effects, the CGI used to flesh out Ramirez's cursed conquistador and his minions is niftily handled. Jungle Cruise is a hodgepodge of influences and ambitions, wanting to be a swashbuckling yarn and an irreverent comedy and a love story, and one can feel the warring impulses waging within the frame. But the two stars' big hearts bring a human element to this whirling apparatus. The film can sometimes feel more like a slog than a cruise, but Johnson and Blunt prove to be excellent company on the journey. The film is almost all non-stop family-friendly action, but that doesn't automatically ensure that the audience feels any genuine tension or stakes. I watched Jungle Cruise not rooting for anyone or hoping for any particular resolution, because despite everything feeling perfect on screen, nothing here inspires warmth or feels particularly heartfelt. Jungle Cruise was created for no other reason than for it to be a massive hit, and that is exactly what it will likely be for its target audience. I was never exactly bored, but neither was I at any point moved. I also don't think viewers will be thinking too hard about this film's exceptionally predictable story, or its weirdly colonial undertones. However, I have to give Disney credit for making Jungle Cruise the movie as close to riding Jungle Cruise, the theme park ride, as humanly possible. Just don't stand in too long a line for it. Nice celebration of the Disney attraction. Like the skippers on the ride, Johnson tells very funny bad jokes, and Amp has great chemistry with Blunt. A few flaws but a lot of fun. And yet, it's hard to begrudge Jungle Cruise because it's such a lighter-than-air confection. Again, its PG-13 rating is a little baffling since the audience most likely to enjoy this movie are kids ages 9 to 12. That's not to say it's a slog for those older than that age group, but it's a movie that feels ideally suited for families, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would even argue that while the action is fine on the big screen, families would be fine ordering this on Disney Plus Premier Access if it makes it easier to wrangle the young ones. While Jungle Cruise isn't perfect, the movie and Johnson exceeded my expectations. There are moments when the green screen backgrounds look distractingly fake and some of the CGI leaves a lot to be desired, but overall it is an enjoyable movie that had me genuinely laughing more than once. The Mummy and Pirates of the Caribbean influences and evident throughout, and everyone involved in the project did an excellent job paying homage to the ride. Jungle Cruise could have been hit or miss, but thankfully, Disney did it right. A majestic action-adventure that keeps you amped up with its quick-paced action and a perpetually entertaining sense of humor. Jungle Cruise somewhat feels like Indiana Jones meets Pirates, but Johnson's confidence and Blunt's charisma allows it to stand on its own. Families will have a great time with this adventure. With the supernatural fantasy elements, it appears more and more like a derivation of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. How fitting, since that is also based on a ride. Jungle Cruise will remind you of a lot of things, but mostly it just feels like a classic Disney adventure tale. There's action, comedy, and even emotion. While Jungle Cruise may not be quite as modern as it sets out to be, it certainly isn't slacking when it comes to good, old-fashioned entertainment. Parents should know that this movie has extended action-style peril and violence with swords, fights, guns, and torpedoes. Characters are cursed and there are disturbing and graphic images. Dangerous animals included a panther and snakes. Issues of prejudice against women and LGBT people and the crimes of colonialists are raised. Characters drink alcohol and an animal gets drunk. There is some mild language and some implied or almost bad language. My rating for the movie is 3 out of 5 and the film is worth watching one time.
Hit that like button and subscribe for more.